But in order to share some lessons from this ayah with you, I'd like to give you some context. This ayah belongs to the very middle of Surah Al-Hadid, and in the very middle of Surah Al-Hadid, Allah paints a scene of Judgment Day. Judgment Day is something that Allah talks about in many places in the Quran, and usually when He talks about it, He talks about people that are heading towards Jannah, the believers, and people that are heading towards the hellfire, the disbelievers. But this passage in particular is unique because Allah, instead of comparing believers to disbelievers, He compares believers to hypocrites. Allahumma la taj'alna minhum, may Allah not make us from them. But Allah, instead of comparing those who have faith as opposed to those who have no faith, is actually comparing people who have faith as opposed to people who thought they have faith, or pretended to have faith, or their faith was there but is of no value to Allah on the Day of Judgment. This is the munafiq. May Allah not make us from them. But this is why this passage is of particular importance, because it tells us many things about how not to end up in that scene on Judgment Day. Why is that important? Because your Iman and my Iman, if it's sincere, if my faith is sincere to Allah, and my belief was strong, it actually turns into light on Judgment Day. And that faith made me act in a certain way. Those actions that I took turn into light on Judgment Day, the actions of my hand. So you have two torches on Judgment Day. The Day of Judgment is dark. It's this long walk to Jannah. And you're going to need light to get there. Some people are going to have exhaustive light. Their light is so stretched that the Prophet ﷺ would describe that it could go from one city to another. It's that big of a light. Other people have such weak light, they still have it, but it's so weak they can barely see the next step that they're taking. So you realize, I better catch up with them, because those lights are getting dimmer. So these hypocrites wake up in this dark scene on Judgment Day, and they try to run and catch up to the believers, because they have no light of their own. They wake up and they're in shock that they have nothing that can aid them. So يوم يقول المنافقون والمنافقات للذين آمنوا انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. The day on which hypocritical men and women are going to say to those who've believed, wait for us, hold on, look back towards us. We could get some of your light. نقتبس من نوركم. Iqtibas literally means, in old days you had these torches with fires on top, and you can take your wood and you can kind of light up your own torch. So they figure we can go borrow some of your light, it won't take anything away from yours. So these hypocrites, may Allah not make us from them, become desperate. So they call out and they say, Alam nakum ma'akum. Didn't we used to be with you? Weren't we with you? So they're asking for the people of the other side. Apparently the door can be opened from the other side. Open up, guys, come on, we used to be with you. And so a desperate call is made. This is important before we go any further. This is actually the reason I chose these ayat for today's khutbah. This wording, Alam nakum ma'akum, weren't we with you? The idea is that these people on Judgment Day that are standing on the wrong side of the wall, that are in desperate situation, that have no light of themselves, actually assumed that they belonged among the believing community. They were very confident about that. So much so that they're citing it even on Judgment Day. We used to be among you. We prayed with you, we did business with you, we were friends with you, we were family with you, we were cousins with you. We went to the same college, university. We're all the same, guys. Fatana in Arabic actually means to put something to the test. Fatana is also used when you test the purity of gold and you melt it and impurities come out. Gold doesn't go through an easy test. It goes through a painful, burning test. The idea of fatantum anfusakum, there are many lessons associated with it. For the purposes of this khutbah, I'll highlight one of them. You kept putting yourselves in situations where your faith gets tested. Try to understand what that means. You kept putting yourself in environments where you knew it was bad for you, but you said, no, I can handle it. I got this. You kept surrounding yourselves with friends that would do bad things, say bad things, see bad things, go to bad places, but you said, I'm not like them, I'm just trying to help them. And you kept going back into those environments. You kept getting into gatherings and places and situations. You kept putting yourselves in those places, assuming that it will not have any effect on you. It'll affect everyone else, but it won't affect you. The first step wasn't that these people just became disbelievers. It was actually bad company. They put themselves in questionable circumstances. And they assume that it's not going to have an effect. When you are, I'll give you a silly example, but it'll get the point across. If people do a lot of cooking at home, especially if you're a Desi household, you do a lot of cooking at home, the home smells like a lot of masala.